Yeah, you're going this time, and so is Jaden. So is Jaden. Hello, I'm David Gray, and I'm heading out on my 7th trip of the 2022 season. It's not going to be Glacier National Park, and it's not going to be the beautiful Rocky Mountains out in Colorado. It's going to be a quick overnight trip here in Indiana, but making it extra special is I'm going to be doing it with Christian and both dogs. Yep, that's right. Jaden's going to be joining us as well. Last trip we did was back in May, and I was sure that was going to be his last trip that he was going to be able to do with us, but he's still able to do our daily walks pretty well, and taking advantage of the fact that Christian's back for a little bit here for a fall trip, and the weather is going to be absolutely spectacular. We're going to head back down and do a repeat of the trip that we did in May down on the Peninsula Trail. I know it's a little boring compared to Glacier and Colorado, but we should have a beautiful sunset out on Lake Monroe. And weather-wise, it's going to be absolutely perfect today. It's going to be highs in the upper 60s, no humidity. A little chilly tonight, probably down around 40 degrees. This is actually the first day of fall, and the weather has turned from 91 and humid yesterday to very fall-like today to introduce us to fall this year. So with that, let's get this short little drive down to the Deam Wilderness going and get this hike started. Well, we made it to Lake Monroe. Right over there is where we're going to be hiking. A few more miles to the Tower Ridge Road and the Deam Wilderness. We made it back to the Deam Wilderness. It hasn't changed much since the last time we were here. Geared up and ready to go. Ready to do another Peninsula Trail hike. Not exactly Glacier National Park or Wind River Range or even Colorado, but it's not bad for Indiana. Any night out in the woods is a good night, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Perfect hiking weather. It's like 67 degrees, no humidity. We are hiking another Peninsula Trail hike. Remember this? The downed tree is still there. The trail actually goes off that way, so the tree doesn't block the trail. Made it to campsite number 10. It's a beautiful little spot. And if I remember correctly, it was not long past here when we ran into our little rattlesnake friends last time. We'll be keeping a close eye for the next little bit here. This is Jaden's pace. It's wide open throttle right there. You're doing good, buddy. Just keep an eye out for rattlesnakes. This is the exact spot where we saw our snake friends last time. There were two of them like right there, and the third one right on the other side of that log. Thankfully not today. It's a lot more dried up and everything too.
Gives me the chills just standing.
I know. You're right there. Yeah. Crawled over that tree. So looky what Christian found right there at that spot.
Right over there.
Ooh, that's freaky. There we go.
Right where we thought they were.
I'd rather see them like that than the way we saw them the last time, though. I always loved this spot. Ginormous pine trees. Another major milestone on the Peninsula Trail. Campsite number 12. We head down this way on the Peninsula Trail proper now. It sits right at about the exact halfway point. We're making a much better time than we did in early June on this hike. The trails are dry, and they've cleaned up a lot of the downed trees that we ran into back then, so you don't get much better hiking conditions than this. So we're actually making really good time. Should be to the lake in about an hour and a half maybe. We heard this sound. I don't know if you can hear it real well. It's this tree barely hanging on up there by that branch. That's what they call a widowmaker. You don't want to camp underneath those. I remember this spot from the last time. It was a real muddy mess. This is really about the only mud we've run into on the whole hike so far. So no complaints, and easy to bypass it on some dry stuff here. Infinitely better trail conditions in September than in May. Make a note of that if you ever want to come do the Peninsula Trail. Well, you can kind of see where I can on and that down there is the lake. Little hill. It's not much, but it gets your heart beating, that's for sure. When we go through that area that was the blown down area with the tornado. Now this is a little sketchy. We get to go right underneath it. This isn't the one that has me most worried though. This bad boy here at the angle is hanging on by a thread up there. We'll move right along through here. We're closing in on the lake. I think we're about less than half a mile from it. We're on that bottom flatland now. We made it to the lake in the same campsite we had back in June. And man, is it a beautiful day. And the picnic table is still here. It's been moved, but we had it. It was right over there.
Sweet, and our picnic table's still there.
We hauled in a little bit of firewood on the way in, not knowing if we would find any, but looks like there's quite a bit in most of these fire pits around here, so we'll collect that. And there's some ample down trees. We brought the saw. Bailey's already been swimming. She goes, I like having the lake right here. We got our home for the night. Same home that I had the first time I was here in 2010, in the same place we stayed back in June. Nice to be back. Should be a great night. Christian wasted no time in getting the fire going, just like last time. Kind of settling into camp. Kind of windy. Probably a little too windy for the drone, maybe. Temperature's about 70 degrees with no humidity, and that breeze is just really nice. I think we wore the old dog out. He's got a really comfy spot to sleep on. He's doing okay. He did great today. Gave him some aspirin, so that'll help. Hopefully he'll make a good recovery for tomorrow. But we're having steak for dinner. Very good-looking ribeye steak, and I brought a couple supplemental Spam slices. And we've decided we're hungry enough at 3:30 that we're not waiting for dinner.
It's gonna be yummy.
So we found this little grate. This should work. Take a little while, but that should be pretty tasty, and we'll get the sizzle sound here in a second. We're gonna take a look here. I don't know how quick it's cooking here. Oh, it's sticky. Oh no! Move the grate, yeah. Careful here. There you go. That's the technique. Stab it. There you go.
Hot. A little ashy.
That's alright. Definitely cooking. Got that yummy, yummy color to it. Appetizer before the cheddar cheese spread. There's some yummy goodness there. I know, you're probably going, yeah, but I'm really looking forward to eating that. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh man, that good.
Been a while since I had it.
That's all. We'll have some later. It's just your appetizer. That's it? That's all?
You've had more to eat today than I have. You ate all my Nutter Butters.
Not so great pleasures of every Peninsula Trail journey is getting a bag of Lake Monroe water, especially when it's like totally churned up from all of this wind and chop and everything. It does not look very appealing to me, guys. At least when we were here the last time, you could actually kind of see the color of it. Ooh. Yeah, baby. There you go. Dirty indeed. It's a little better than the pond water we had not so far from here. Not the best water in the world, but it'll work. Alright, here's what a gravity filter does for you. That's straight from that lake, pristine Lake Monroe, not. And then goes through that filter. And much cleaner down there. Here's my hammock dog. She really likes being in the hammock. Not fussing around or anything. She's just real relaxed. Well, it is Tacky Gourmet cheddar cheese spread time on a very windy Lake Monroe and looking straight into the sun. That was the best lighting we could come up with, so we'll tolerate it to get you the shot. Jaden. Jaden's a little distracted, but we'll get him over here. Haley. Oh, really? Haley doesn't take us off. That was very good. Alright, so we've now done 2 Spam appetizer courses, packaged gourmet cheddar cheese bread on Ritz crackers, and then we've got a USDA prime ribeye this big that looks like Wagyu beef that we're going to have for dinner here. I'd say we're not going hungry, but we're all pretty hungry for some reason. This is dinner. It is a USDA prime ribeye steak from Costco. Restaurant quality, top 5% of all beef in the U.S. And cook it on the stove in this little pan. Ooh, that doesn't even look so bad.
Wow. I didn't realize it would be that big when you said you brought one steak.
Oh yeah, it's pretty thick.
Yeah. I think that's fogo de chao, right?
Yep, fogo de chao.
I went there.
So that's going to take a little while, obviously, but I just like cooking it in a pan like this and getting the crust on the outside, especially with the salt seasoning. More to come. I'll show you here as we get a little more of it done. Oh, already the smell is just incredible. I think I probably ought to turn that down. I barely have the flame on, but I don't want it to cook too fast because it's about that thick. There we go. That'll be perfect. Oh, the smell of that is, flip it here. Oh my God. You smell that?
It smells so good.
You don't want to cook it too high because it's about a good 1.25 inches thick. Salt crust on there. Jaden's like, that smells pretty good to me. Let it cook for another, I don't know, 8-10 minutes, and then we'll let it rest for a second, and then we'll cut it in half and mow it. Nice little medium rare. Looks pretty good.
Yeah, my mouth's watering.
We just pulled it off. We're going to let it rest here for a little bit, 5-10 minutes, and I'll show you what it looks like when we cut into it. A perfect medium, which a little bit maybe overdone, but it's probably going to taste okay.
It's perfect. It's so good.
Show you here.
Wow.
That is,
I'm liking the only salt thing.
that is definitely a it's not Mountain House moment.
So
Holy
good.
smoke, is that good. Bailey goes, I would love to find out. All right, I'll feed the doggies, but yeah, perfectly. It's like a perfect medium. Maybe medium rare to medium, but I'm perfect with this quality of meat.
So good.
There you go.
Best steak I've had in a very long time.
Man, the sun is probably about a half an hour away from setting. So we are going to go down on the beach, go for a little walk and do a little exploring with the doggies, and then maybe pull the drone out when the sun gets a little lower in the sky. Yeah, we're out on a little walkie along the lake shore. Jaden's kind of stiffening up a little bit, so let him get some exercise a little just to loosen up, and hopefully a good night's sleep will get him good as new in the morning. Here's the scene. This beautiful night on Lake Monroe. Sun's getting ready to set. Jaden's kind of taking it a little bit slow, but you can camp back up in there. Not a bad setting to watch some Thursday night football.
About as good as it gets.
Doggy say good morning. Bailey slept in Christian's hammock all night long. I never thought that would ever happen. She must like a hammock. Oh man, there's nothing better than a cup of hot coffee in the woods on a morning like this, especially when it's about 43 degrees according to my Apple Watch. So it's a little chilly this morning. I didn't pull out the down jacket, so it's not quite that cold, but this is sure going to hit the spot. Oh man, that is so good. Same exact spot where I woke up back in 2010 on my first backpacking trip. To a cup of coffee. I think I was using Starbucks Via back then, not Dunkin' Donuts. It still tasted pretty good, but man, I don't know what it is about the Peninsula Trail, but this is my fourth trip out here, and the weather every time has been just like this. Absolutely spectacular. Beautiful sunsets over the lake, beautiful sunrises in the morning, and it's spectacular out here. If it keeps up like this and have these kind of memories that we make, I might come back again. Who knows? Getting started on day number 2. We are geared up and ready to hike back to the car. Second day of our little overnight here on the Peninsula Trail. The doggies are going, "What's taking you guys so long?" We're hiking. Here we go. 2.5 hours, we'll be back at the car and our little trip will be done already. This is what we've been hiking in. Kind of dark and gloomy in the woods. This is actually brightening it up quite a bit. Pretty pleasant hiking so far, about half mile into it. First little hill. And I got fooled last time thinking this was the, quote, big one. This is just a little bump compared to the second one we got to do up here a little further, but making progress. Beginning of that big hill. I don't know if you can tell, but it's all uphill, and you can see the light in the distance. That's the top of the ridge. Getting ready to go up on an Indiana hill, which really isn't all that big. This gives you a little better perspective of it. Short and sweet, but a little steeper than most. Just a little panorama of our woods this morning in the Charles Deam Wilderness. Man, this is a beautiful spot. Nothing like a little gunfire in the woods in the morning. We made it back to the car. Not as many people here as when we got here, but our car is there and appears to be intact. That's always good. Made it back to the trailhead. What a great hike. So there you have it. 7th trip of the 2022 season. The Deam Wilderness Peninsula Trail is in the books. No, it's not Glacier National Park, and it certainly isn't those beautiful Rocky Mountains out in Colorado. But to be able to do a trip, any trip, in the woods of Indiana with my son Christian, the two dogs, especially Jaden, is a magical experience. I did a trip with Jaden last October. Thought for sure that that was going to be his last trip. And we did a trip all together, basically this trip in early June. That was his second last trip. And now we just completed his third last trip in September 22. I don't know how many trips he has left in him. I don't know how many days he has on this earth, but every trip I get to do with him now, and every day I get to spend with him, is awfully special to me. It was a great night out on the shore of Lake Monroe. Another perfect day. This is the fourth trip we've done, and every time we've done one, we've had weather that's just as perfect. Beautiful sunset, great campfire on the lake. It was just a really great night out in the woods. The Deam Wilderness, it's a pretty neat little place in central southern Indiana, and for us, it was a place that gave us another great hike.